1, 2, 3. Hi! We're back with episode 2 of how me and Jonathan met. If you haven't watched episode 1 yet, please go back and watch it because there's lots of juicy details you don't want to miss. So Jonathan, where did we leave off in the story?
I think we last talked about like us parting ways in the winter retreat in Michigan, and that's where we're gonna pick it up.
Yes. So Jonathan went back to the Philippines. He finished his internship March 6th of 2016. Okay, so basically like almost a week after we met. Physically for the first time. So Jonathan goes back to Manila March 6th. And then what do you do in that time? What are you looking for?
I was looking for a job. A night shift job because like I had the plan of eventually like courting her and like continuing the relationship because basically even though I was already in Manila, our communication was still continuous. Like it didn't actually got cut off.
Yeah, we never stopped messaging. Like since the day one with the cat message, we never stopped messaging. And if you're wondering what happened to the cat, my older brother actually adopted it. So we actually got to see the cat together. So I remember it's March 26th, I believe, and Jonathan messages me a picture. We're kind of like talking about that we sort of like each other, and then he messages me this picture. And what was the picture of?
It was a picture of the letter I was planning to give her.
The letter?
Yeah, during the winter retreat. So basically telling her that I like her and that like, you know, like I'm willing to wait and stuff like that.
And then I believe 2 days later, so March 28th is where we really said like, okay, like, so March 26th is when we were like confessing our attraction to each other, that we both like each other and we see a future together. And then 2 days later, we kind of solidified that and we're like, yes, we're gonna date. So our anniversary is March 28th of 2016. And during this time, I was not actually in Michigan. I was on my spring break. So I was with my friends in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And when I came back, I was so mean to my mom. I was like, Mom, I have a boyfriend. Guess who it is? And she didn't guess Jonathan. So I told her it was Jonathan. And then I remember I texted my 2 sisters and I was like, hey, I'm dating Jonathan now. And they're like, haha, good prank. You can really tell we're a prank family. So I had to screenshot messages between me and Jonathan and send it to my sisters before they actually believed that we were dating. Because they thought it was another prank. Yeah. But then in August, I don't remember the date, but August is when I started my first semester in college. I went to Moody Bible Institute in Chicago.
Yep.
So that's when we started long distance in a dorm room. And long distance is hard in general, but it's even more difficult in a dorm room because you have no privacy. There's just one room. And I actually roomed with my sister the first year, but still, we just had one room and then one tiny little bathroom. Like, so all of our phone calls, all of our FaceTime is done in a public space because there's basically nowhere to be secluded in Moody. If you know, like, it's really difficult to find a quiet space alone. So that, I think, is probably the most challenging part of our long distance, right?
Yeah, and for me, the night shift.
For the night shift.
Yeah, it was like an adjustment. Plus, the reason why the night shift was perfect during that time because like I was sharing my room with my brother.
Yeah.
So, you know, like if we're gonna talk, then I should be like sleeping in the day. So I have the privacy and then stuff like that. So it was just like the perfect strategy, I guess. Also, like for communication to work.
Yeah, because during the time change in Chicago, we're actually 14 hours apart difference. So with him working night shift, we were still able to talk every time it was my night and I was going to go to sleep because he was also going to go to sleep around the same time. So it worked out perfectly. That's how we beat the time difference. Every weekend, Jonathan does switch back to Filipino time to do some church activities. So his schedule has always really suffered for our relationship, but that's a sacrifice that I'll always be so thankful you made for us. Woo woo. Okay, so let's talk about the first time we actually met in person while being a couple.
Oh, that was Oh, that was nerve-wracking.
Yeah, so you tell what it was like flying into O'Hare, which is the Chicago airport, because remember, when we first met each other as a couple, I just finished my first semester at Moody. And Moody's in Chicago and O'Hare's in Chicago.
Like arriving at the airport, like, of course, I need to go to the restroom first to kind of like prepare,
Yeah.
because I don't want to smell bad.
It's a long flight. How many hours are you in the air for?
I can't remember, but
Close to 20 to 24.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
usually the case. And I had to stop over in Korea, so
Yeah, and 24 hours.
that adds to the travel. So
It's kind of nerve-wracking when you first land in the U.S. because your phone is set up for a Filipino phone, right? It's not set up for, so we have no communication. I just know when he's gonna land, and then I just hope we bump into each other. And O'Hare is huge. I think it's one of the biggest airports in the U.S. So I was like, okay, he's probably not out of immigration yet because I knew it's kind of a process. So I was going to the bathroom, cleaning up, freshening up. My dad was doing the same thing, and I remember I'm drying my hands with the machine, and I hear my dad's voice, and he's talking to somebody. And I was like, really, Dad? Because we always have this joke that no matter where we go, my dad knows somebody or makes a friend. So I was like, out of all the places, he knows somebody in O'Hare Airport when he's from Michigan.
and you're picking up your boyfriend.
And you're picking up, I was like, oh, babe, whatever. And then I get outside, and he's just chatting with Jonathan, just casual chats. My dad met Jonathan before me.
Yeah, and he smelled me first.
Yes.
Yeah, I was using Polo Black.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Mhm. And then I saw Anna like running to me, and that was like, yeah, it was our first holding hands too.
Yeah. We were dating
She
for
was the
9
one-
months
yeah.
apart, and then finally, yeah. I made the first move. Actually, I grabbed his hand as we were walking out of the airport, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you surprised?
Yeah.
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 I was forward.
Not so much about that. I knew we were gonna hold hands, like hold hands and all, but like it was just like, okay.
So we're doing it.
I was nervous. Like just imagine like like falling in love and really getting to know someone online, and then all of a sudden you meet her in person. Like it just like makes you nervous, especially for a guy. I mean, like it's just.
Yeah. And then, so Jonathan has been flying and traveling for over 24 hours now. Because you're in the air for 24 hours and the travel is added to that.
Yeah.
And then it's a 3 to 4 hour drive from O'Hare to my parents' house in Michigan. And then Jonathan basically just gets a large cup of coffee at McDonald's because my dad and him love coffee. We drive to Michigan, Jonathan takes a shower, and then maybe an hour later, we go straight to my auntie's house for our big Christmas celebration on my mom's side. So poor Jonathan meets his long-distance girlfriend for the first time that day, and then has to meet my mom's whole entire family.
Yeah, I slept like a baby that night. Like
He was so tired.
I was so tired. But I was able to adjust to the new time zone. That's the benefit.
Yeah, and what did you think of my family at first? Your first impression of my extended family, because you already met my parents before.
Yeah, it was big. It was a big family. There were a lot of kids.
Yep.
But I played with them all. I think that, that made me comfortable to kind of like socialize too.
Yeah.
And, like your aunties were kind. Like a lot of people in our family was really kind. So.
And what did you do when you met my grandmas for the first time?
Oh, I do the manopo, the
Yeah.
bless.
He was so sweet. He got on their level and explained the whole blessing. It was really sweet to watch. It was so pure. So now what we're going to talk about is Jonathan's highlights of being in the U.S. and dating me. Because he's been to the U.S. obviously before many times. But what were some of the special parts about being in the U.S. with me?
Yeah, by the way, I was just there for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, just 2 weeks.
Yeah, because like I had work back home.
And
plus,
I had school. So I just only had 3 weeks off from school.
it was basically
So-
Christmas break.
Yeah.
I think the special moment about it is like I got to really know more about Anna, like her family, how they work together, how they kind of like move together and all.
Yeah.
Like her dad's jokes, her mom's cooking, which I like. Mama Dawn, if you're listening. And
you
then
know she will.
yeah, she will. But like I think like knowing her hometown more, like she showed me to like the beach, like
Yes.
the lake,
I took him to Lake Michigan and the beach, and I'll include a photo here.
and it was
Here.
winter.
And it's winter, and if you don't know the U.S. geography, Lake Michigan is massive. It's like 70% of all fresh water in the world, I believe. And when it freezes over, it's really gorgeous. There's icicles forming because of the waves splashing up. And so I took Jonathan there, and it's so windy and so bitter cold, and there's ice absolutely everywhere.
I love it.
You fell twice on your butt.
Yeah, but I love the cold.
But he loves the cold. And then also what I did is I took him to these
Big bees.
Big B. Yes, if you know Michigan, Big B is so good. We drank so much coffee. We went to Barnes and Noble for a date.
Mm-hmm.
And then the hometown where I grew up, sort of close to, is very Dutch oriented. And I'm also Dutch as well, like ethnically, not so much culturally. So I took him to some Dutch like souvenir shops, and he tried on wooden shoes for the first time. He got to see all these cute little like Delft painted plates and everything. So I kind of showed him part of that culture, because I was pretty involved in like historical Dutch things just for work and school. So that was kind of fun to show you that for the first
and you
time.
were a tour guide.
I was a tour guide. Yes, I was a tour guide for a windmill. So.
Yeah, so it was fun, basically, and like, you know, like having moments with her dad, helping out in the woods.
Yeah.
Like
Did you chop down trees this time? The first time?
Not the first time.
But you plowed.
I did plow.
With my grandpa's tractor, which it's probably like it's an antique tractor. So you're outside in the cold, and my dad put a plow on top of the tractor, and he was plowing our parents' driveway. I think you messed
Removing
up our
some.
grass
Yeah.
underneath, but you had fun.
I did.
Yeah.
And like they were all there in the house. Like
I was looking out the window, and I was like taking a video. It was so funny.
Yeah. I think like what else? Like my dad, her dad, like took me to like some coffee time with his friends. So they were all like old men, like in age, okay, like not in heart.
Right.
And then I was like the young guy there, like sitting in coffee in hand, talking about politics or
No.
like, oh no, like even the word, like
Yeah.
we were talking
Was
about
it a
about
church? A church
Yeah, yeah,
kind of
it was,
men's meeting
yeah.
at Panera,
Uh-huh,
right? Classic, yeah, classic, yeah. So the two things that I thought were kind of funny and unique is when Jonathan went to the supermarket in the U.S., he loved to buy milk and just drink it straight. Just drink it straight. And I was talking to his mom about this a couple weeks ago, and she was saying that when Jonathan came back from the U.S. the first time, she's like, he grew 2 inches. And I was like, it's probably because of all the burgers and all of the milk that he was drinking. He'd just drink like, what is it, a liter of milk maybe?
Yeah.
In one sitting. Like we'd go to a gas station to fill up on gas. He's like, okay, well I'm gonna grab some milk. I have a picture I'll include of it.
Hey, like 1 gallon of milk.
No, it was a liter.
During that time, the gas stop, yeah.
Yeah, the gas stop, yeah.
But it was so cheap. And like growing up here in the Philippines, shout out to all the Filipinos watching this, you know how expensive milk can be here. Like,
And the
like
flavor is not the same. The flavor is a little different.
well, yeah, of course. They're New Zealand milk mostly, and like they're imported, so it's not really fresh milk. Yeah, it's really hard to come by here. Like, and there's like this kind of notion that when you're drinking milk, it's like you're almost a rich kid,
Yeah.
and that's not just a stigma. It's quite the reality.
Yeah.
It's expensive, and we were not rich, so it's like, yeah, I drank a lot of milk before as well, but like the powdered milk.
Even though we're drinking the powdered milk, but I actually really like powdered milk. I'm used to it.
Yeah, I
now.
like it. You can
Yeah.
control the creaminess, I
Yeah.
guess. That's what's important. Okay.
And
Sorry.
and then the second thing that I noticed that was kind of funny and like maybe a little cultural difference is when we went to the supermarket. I think it was one of our last times together before he went back to Manila. Is she's like, I need to buy chocolate, and I was like, all right, sure, we'll buy some chocolate. So I took him to the chocolate section in Meyer. If you're from Michigan, Myers, and this man proceeds to buy pounds of chocolate. He's like, this is for my godfather, this is for my coworkers, this is for my cousin and my mom and my dad. And I'm like horrified. I'm looking at this cart full of chocolate. And in the holidays in the US, and it's similar in the Philippines too, but the amount of sweets that you eat during Christmas parties in the US is ungodly. Like, you really should not be eating all of that. So I was already kind of like feeling sick looking at all this chocolate. But Jonathan is explaining that chocolate's a little more expensive here, and of course in the US you can get so much more food in bulk and it's a little cheaper.
Yeah, and I had no gifts yet.
He had no gifts,
By
so
that
that was
time.
his.
That was
what
my
is it called?
Pasalubong.
Yeah, that was his little gift thing. And I think I still have a picture of his total, but his total was around like $82, $84. And I was like, okay. Like, that was really strange to me. Like, you'll gift your coworkers presents when you go to the US, but now living here among Filipinos, I'm like, oh yeah, that's just to be expected. Like, obviously, like there's whole shops dedicated just to bring gifts home.
Yeah, I mean, like, there are some ways and areas I don't like it, culturally speaking, but like during that time it was Christmas time, so like just given the context of giving, so that's really important. Like I don't want to kind of like arrive empty-handed.
Yeah.
You know, like I just want to bring some cute blessings to my God's children as well, to my office mates and everyone.
Yeah. So then we had to say goodbye, of course. Jonathan had to go back to the Philippines. So I believe me and my sisters drove you to Chicago, where you spent a couple days with his best friend David, and then they took him to the airport. But yeah, what was it like saying goodbye?
Oh, it was very hard.
Yeah.
Especially for Anna, because like, you know, like she can
And
cry
tear up.
during that time. Because during my, like, you know, my friend was there, so I could not really express yet.
Yeah,
You know,
my
but-
sisters were like, so it was hard to say goodbye.
Oh, she's tearing up.
It was really hard.
Yeah, it was hard. I'm telling you, it was so hard. Like, after all the waiting, then 2 weeks of really enormous fun, and then we had to say goodbye again.
And at this time, we don't have a plan when we're going to meet again, so I'm just saying goodbye to him. I don't know when I'm going to see him again.
We kind of like planned, but there's no definite
No
thing.
definite, like we have no ticket, and it's expensive, and I'm a college student, and we both funded every single trip we ever planned. So I'm working, I'm in college, I'm taking full credits. So it's hard leaving somebody that you're so in love with when you don't know when you're going to see them again. That's the hardest part.
But we did see again,
We
each
did,
other again, and then that's gonna be for.
Yeah, let's talk about episode 2. Okay, cut. So episode 3 is gonna be about our other half of long distance, because we were dating long distance for 4 years before we got engaged. So episode 2 is about the first time Jonathan comes to the US as we're dating, and episode 3 is gonna be about the first time I fly to the Philippines solo at 19. I don't know what my parents were thinking, but they were like, yeah, sure, go ahead. So
It was also blast.
Blast?
Blast.
Oh,
Like,
a
you
blast,
coming here.
yeah.
You were with your sister, right?
No, the first time I
Oh my
flew
god,
solo.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. We'll cut that out. Yeah, so that's episode 3. Please like and comment and subscribe below, wherever it is. And next week we'll have episode 3.
Goodbye.
Thank you for watching. Mwah, 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 mwah.